It's the 3 on PLAXtv.
Oh, hey guys, how you doing? It's your boy Plax, and I am back with another episode of The 3 on PLAXtv. And in this episode, I'm doing my playoff predictions. Now, at the time of this recording, the plan has already started. The Golden State Warriors moved on. They beat the Grizzlies. Yeah, they beat the Grizzlies. They moved on. They're now the 7th seed. They'll be playing the Rockets. The Orlando Magic just beat the Hawks, and the Heat just beat the Bulls. So the Magic are the 7th seed, and they'll be playing the Celtics. I'm just going to go through each series. I'm not going to go over the last two playing games because, honestly, the playing teams aren't going to beat the first seed teams. That's a spoiler, I guess. I don't think either of those teams are going to win the series. But I'm still going to go over each series, break it down a little bit, explain to you guys what I think, who I think is going to win, who I think isn't going to win, who I think is going to show out. And yeah, let's get into it. So first off, I'm going to start off in the Eastern Conference. The first series is going to be the Cavaliers versus either the Hawks or the Heat. I think the Heat is going to beat the Hawks most likely, but it really doesn't matter. I think Cleveland goes in and they beat either the Hawks or the Heat. It doesn't really matter which one. Cleveland's been rolling all season. I'm still a little skeptical on like how they're going to perform in the playoffs, but I do think at the very least they're going to get through this first round pretty easy. If they play the Hawks, I think they sweep the Hawks, to be completely honest. If they end up playing the Heat, I think the Heat win one or two games, but ultimately lose to the Cavs. That's pretty self-explanatory. You know, you got Donnie, you got Darius Garland, you got Evan Mobley, you got Jared Allen, and then they just added DeAndre Hunter. They got Max Strus off the bench. Ty Jerome, who's kind of emerged as a really solid backup guard, or as a point guard or a shooting guard for them. They just a really solid team. They've been rolling all year. They the first in the East for a reason. I don't think the Hawks or the Heat can really do anything with them, to be completely honest with you. I do like how the Heat look, though, but also that's based on them playing against the Bulls. And the Bulls, based on what I just seen from them in a winner-go-home playing game, they fucking suck. Just really quick about the Bulls, it was something I was talking to my dad about. They're just... I really don't think they're a bad team on paper. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Vucevic, you got Josh Giddey, Lonzo Ball, even though he's hurt, you got Lonzo Ball. You know, who else? And just a lot of different players. You got Kevin Huerter, you got, what's the kid's name? Taylor Horton Tucker. Just a lot of, like, solid guys on the team. But it's just an odd amalgamation of players. You know, and a lot of guys... Oh, yeah, Kobe White. That's another player. Kobe White, like... You got guys that can score very well, and I feel like if they were on different contending teams, I feel like they'd be very pivotal pieces. But when you put all those guys together on one team, it's just confusing. Like, they had a lineup out there at one point. It was Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Taylor Horton Tucker, Kevin Huerter, and Nikola Vucevic. And they had Josh Giddey at the 4. And I was just like... How do you expect to defend with this lineup against anybody, really? This is like the worst defensive lineup I've ever seen in my life. One, Kobe White doesn't play defense. Kevin Huerter doesn't play defense. Taylor Horton Tucker plays defense on occasion. Josh Giddey is a decent defender. He's solid. He always puts the effort in. And then Vucevic has never been known as a defender. He's improved as a defender as he's gotten older, but like realistically... Vu's a scorer as well. So, what is this lineup you have out there? Like, it was just, I was watching the game with my dad and I was just trying to dissect because they were down by like 30 points or something. And I was just like, damn, like, why aren't they fighting back? Like, what's going on? Which they did. They started to come back a little bit. They knocked it down to like 12 and stuff like that. Like, they put in the effort in the second half a little bit. But in the first half, they were just getting trounced. They were acting like it was a regular season game in the beginning of the year, and this is a winner-go-home game. And it was just confusing, you know, and it's just a weird amalgamation of players. And if it was me, I would just blow that team up, because I don't even see where you're growing. Like, you're in the play-in. I don't really see them improving, but I also don't see them, with this squad getting worse necessarily. And you got to pick one. Like, they're in like a horrible spot right now. They have an odd group of players together, and they just it's just confusing. It's a very confusing situation, and Billy Donovan doesn't look like he gives a fuck at all. So that's just that. But if you give him that weird group of players, then maybe I don't know. But I digress. Cleveland wins the first series regardless who it is, whether it's a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. Cleveland's going to get it done in the first round. The second series in the East is the Boston Celtics versus the Orlando Magic. Now, the Boston Celtics, they're the defending champions. They're the second best team in the East, record-wise. I like Orlando, right? Paolo, Franz Wagner, all those guys, they're really good. They're a solid team. They're a young team. I think just ending up against Boston is just very tough for your first matchup. I don't see them winning a series. I think they win a game. I definitely think they can win a game, but anything past that is going to be super tough. I just don't see them giving Boston too much of a problem, to be completely honest. Like, and I've been one of those guys, even though Boston did win the championship last year, but I've been one of those guys that's called Boston like underachievers. And I truly believe that. I feel like Boston should have won. This should be like their second or third championship, the championship they won last year. I feel like they should have beat Golden State. I feel like they should have went to the finals one of those years. Or actually, no, both of those years that Miami beat them, they should have definitely went to the finals both of those years. And they definitely had a chance to win both of those years. This should be their second or third championship with this group of guys, the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown situation. Also, too, on top of that, they didn't win until they started basically cheating because, and I'm going to keep saying this, I'm not going to let this go until somebody brings this up to the NBA. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both have max contracts. Derek White, Porzingis, and Drew Holiday all are making like $28+ million a year. Peyton Pritchard, I think, is making like $10-15 million a year. And then everybody else on the roster is making $7+ million a year. Where the fuck is all this money coming from? And they don't even have like real owners. Like the owners are trying to sell the team, or they're selling the team, or something like that. Who's paying for all this? Your starting five are all damn near getting max contracts. How? But, everybody seems to be ignoring that. It's perfectly fine, I guess. And I know the luxury tax, if they're willing to pay the luxury tax, I guess it doesn't matter. But it's only so much luxury tax you can fucking pay. There's got to be a cap on it or something. God damn. But, hey, okay. Boston, I think they get rid of Orlando. I think Orlando could maybe get one game. But I don't see them doing anything much past that. I think Orlando should pat themselves on the back if they win 2 games, if I'm being completely honest. Just to move on, the next series on the list for the Eastern Conference is the Knicks versus the Pistons, which I think is a sleeper series. I think this series is going to be super exciting to watch. I think it's going to go to distance. The Knicks have been rolling, right? They've improved a lot. They, adding Cat was huge. OG, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, they've been killing it, and I'm a Knicks hater, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Only thing is, Detroit has also been rolling. Detroit has went from one of the worst teams in the NBA to a top 6 team one of the worst teams in the NBA to a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference, which is a huge jump. Now, I understand this is their first playoff appearance, so they probably there's growing pains to it. They're probably going to have some growing pains, some issues. So I don't think they're going to win the series, but I do think it'll go 6 or 7 games because Cade Cunningham is really just, presented himself as one of the top guards in the league. I really love Jalen Duren. I think he's going to be one of the best centers in the league within the next few years. He just has a dominant vibe to him, and he's such a beast. Like, he's a great rebounder. He's great back to the basket. He's a great lob threat. He's a decent defender. He's improving every year as a defender. I really think he's going to be a problem going forward. and then the Thompson twin. Any Thompson twin on either side, whether it be Houston, whether it be Detroit, you're golden. It's just great to have them. They just solid players. They play defense. They can score when you need them to score. They'll check the best player on the other team without complaining and kind of stop them too as well. You just can't go wrong with a Thompson twin. So as long as you got one of them on your team, I think you're just doing good in general. But yeah, I think the Knicks are just too talented. I think they're just the older team. They're the vets in comparison to Detroit. I think they end up beating Detroit, but I think Detroit gives them a go. It takes them to 6 or 7 games. And then the next series in the East would be the Pacers versus the Bucks. Now, with the Pacers versus the Bucks, that's a little tough, if I'm being honest, because I just found out Dame is going to be out for the beginning of the series. I don't know if he's going to be out for the whole series, but he is going to be out for at least the beginning part of the series, maybe the first couple or few games. I think that puts the Bucks at a real disadvantage. Giannis is amazing, but without Dame and your next best player is Kyle Kuzma, I think that's just putting them in a really bad spot. You're putting Giannis in a really bad spot. I know you can't do anything about injuries. It's just a bad timing for Dame to get hurt. Hopefully Dame, like I said, isn't out the whole series. Maybe he's out a couple games, and then he can come back and they can turn it around. But I think the series go to 7 games, and I honestly think the Pacers win. I think the Pacers win, and they go on to the next round because, honestly, they're just healthy. I think Hallie and Siakam and Turner and Nembhard and those guys are just a better team than the Bucks without Dame. But like I said, if Dame could come back in 2 or 3 games, then anything can happen. But if he's going to be out the whole series, I think the Bucks end up losing that, unfortunately. So that would be, based on what I just said, it would be Cleveland versus the Pacers in the next round, and then it would be the Knicks versus Boston in the next round. Yeah. So Cleveland versus the Pacers. I like the Pacers a lot. They play really hard. Halliburton, he started the season off really rough, but he got back in stride very quickly. Well, not quickly, but at least I wouldn't say a quarter through the season, he turned it around. I think he was just dealing with an injury, and the Pacers just started rolling. That's how they ended up with the 4th seed. But again, I think Cleveland runs through them. Honestly, I think Cleveland sweeps the Pacers. Maybe the Pacers get 1 or 2 games, but I think generally Cleveland just sweeps them. Like I said, Cleveland been rolling all year. Unless they just completely have a meltdown, I don't see them having too much trouble with the Pacers. They, like I said, they're just more talented than they are. They're better defenders. I feel like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are by far better than Tyrese Halliburton and whatever 2 guard you want to put next to them that's on that Pacers squad right now. Yeah, they just a more talented team, and Cleveland's going to end up sweeping the Pacers most likely. The other series is going to be the Knicks versus the Celtics. Now, honestly, as a Knicks hater, right? I'm a Knicks hater. I'm a lifelong Knicks hater. I just think the Knicks are one of the most underachieving basketball teams in basketball history. There's no way you're in the mecca of basketball and you only have 3 championships to show for it, and you've been a professional basketball team since the 1940s. That just doesn't make any sense to me. That's very egregious. But as an all-time Knicks hater, I really like this team. I don't like that they got rid of Dante DiVincenzo, but I wish they somehow would have been able to keep him on top of getting Cat, but I mean, that's just how the cookie crumbles with trades. But besides that, I really like this team. Cat has become a whole different version of himself. He's gotten at least 2 times better than he was in Minnesota, and he was pretty decent in Minnesota. Jalen Brunson, just a dog, a leader. It's not really much I got to say about Jalen Brunson. Then you got Mikal Bridges. I love that he left Brooklyn high and dry to go play with his buddies? No. But it's fine. I'm not too upset about it. We got some decent picks back for him, so it's not a huge deal. For actually, in both trades, when we moved KD and moved him, we got a lot of good picks back, so I'm not too upset about that. I like Josh Hart. He just, again, another dog. He don't complain. He played 48 minutes a game. I think the Knicks' downfall in this series, as much as I think they could win it, their downfall is just going to be Tibbs. Tibbs is a great coach. He's always been a great coach. I like his style for the most part. But the problem with Tibbs is he makes his players play 48 minutes a game in the regular season. Every game. And it's ridiculous. Josh Hart, they asked him, do you think Josh Hart is going to get a chance to sit down at some point? And he laughed at the reporter. What the fuck? Why can't Josh Hart get a breather? You got other players. You got McBride. You got Mitchell Robinson hasn't played in months. He's not hurt or nothing like that. He just hasn't played at all. And Mitchell Robinson is a really good defender. He's a lob threat. I feel like he'd be a good addition with Jalen Brunson. I don't know why he never gets playing time. But he's running his players into the ground. That's why they lost to the Pacers last year in the playoffs, because they were just so exhausted because Tibbs is running them into the fucking ground. And I think that's going to be their downfall just in general. I think that's why they lose the series. I think the series goes to 6 or 7 games, but Boston ends up winning. Also, too, like I said before, Boston is just super talented. They got, Tatum and Brown. They got Derek White, Drew Holiday, Porzingis. Even if Porzingis only plays a couple games and he goes down for a couple games, you still got a Big Al Horford who's like 73 years old, but he's playing like he's 30. Like he's still playing like he's in Atlanta or some shit like that. So Big Al is a good addition. Like you can't go wrong with Big Al. Even if Porzingis go down, I think they'll be fine. Even like Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard and Luke Cornett, like all those guys are just solid players that when they come into the game, you don't drop off much. So I think the combination of Tibbs running his best players into the ground and Boston having a rotation of solid players that will give Tatum, Brown, and other people a chance to rest, I think Boston ends up beating the Knicks in about 6, most likely 6 games, maybe 7, if the Knicks can push through it, I guess. But Tibbs, I just don't. It's too late now because he's already done it again. But I just don't see why he's not seeing running your players into the ground all season and expecting them to be ready to go in the playoffs. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. And I like Tibbs as their coach, but I think they might need to go into a different direction at some point, especially if they get knocked out by Boston. Yes, Boston is defending champs, but I feel like the Knicks are talented enough to go head-to-head with them if they weren't dying. But that's that. That'll be the second round. I have Cleveland going to the conference final, and I have Boston going to the conference final. Now this is where it gets a little tough. So I have Boston going to the conference final, unless they choke. But I'm assuming because they won that they won't. But as of right now, I have Boston going to the conference. I'm sorry. I have Boston going to the final. Beating Cleveland. I think just because this is Cleveland's first time really putting it together and figuring themselves out, I think Boston just being, the defending champs and just being a little bit more veterans when it comes to like championship basketball and playoff basketball, I feel like they end up beating Cleveland in 6 games. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland came out and won, but I have Boston going into the finals. And Cleveland, I think Cleveland either next year or the year after could definitely win it. I just don't think this is their first time being a first seed. I think they need to bolster up the bench just a little bit more, and I think they'd be able to go toe-to-toe with Boston next year or the year after that. Now, we're going to go over to the Western Conference. We got the Boston Celtics in the finals. The first series on the West, I've been talking for a long time. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. The first series on the West, you got the Thunder versus either the Grizzlies or the Mavs. I honestly don't think it matters. I think the Grizzlies will have a better chance against OKC. At the end of the day, OKC gets either of those teams out of here. If it's the Mavericks, I'd say, a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. If it's the Grizzlies, I think the Grizzlies could win 1 or 2 games. But at the end of the day, SGA has been an MVP candidate. If Jokic wasn't Jokic, I guess, I feel like SGA will be the MVP this year. And he still has a chance to win MVP. I just don't think after Jokic, they said he was averaging a triple-double to finish the season. I thought it was pretty much over for SGA to win MVP. But he has been an MVP candidate for years now. So I think the Thunder just get it done. They get the Grizzlies or the Mavs up out of there. Now, I think this series is going to be the highlight series. Like I said, I think it was the Detroit and the Knicks series over in the East. I think this series is going to be the highlight of the playoffs, or one of the highlights of the playoffs, the Rockets versus Golden State. Now, the Rockets are the 2nd seed, and Golden State was just in the play-in, and they're the 7th seed. But I can't bet against Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. And Jimmy he seemed to have brought over the power of friendship, because Golden State seems like they're rolling. Now, Jimmy just scored damn near, I think it was like 38. He scored damn near 40 points in their playing game. Steph is Steph Curry. You can't do anything with him. Only thing is, Houston is really locked in defensively. And as I said before, you can't go wrong with having the Thompson twin on your team. The Thompson twin on the Rockets, I don't say their first names because I always get them mixed up on who's who. I think Amanda's in Houston. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. But I know the Thompson twin in Houston has been assigned to Steph Curry in the past. Now, I'm not saying he can stop Steph Curry, because that's fucking crazy. Nobody can stop Steph Curry. He's the greatest shooter of all time. And the second, maybe first greatest point guard of all time. So, I'm not saying he can stop him. But, historically speaking, he's done well or decent against Steph. Just keeping him, instead of Steph getting 30, maybe Steph gets 18. In certain situations. Now, those were regular season games. Playoff Steph is a whole different monster. So, I'm honestly 50-50 on this series. I really don't know. I'm scared to even lock somebody in. My heart, honestly, is saying Golden State, but the stats and just the matchups and stuff is saying the Rockets. Fuck it. Golden State is going to the next round. I would just lock it in. Fuck it. Golden State is going to beat Houston in 7 games. I think Jimmy, being Michael Jimmy Jordan, being Jordan's son, and using the power of friendship, on top of Draymond using that energy to hype himself up, on top of Steph Curry just being fucking amazing and being a great player and just being a champion, I think they figure it out and they beat Houston. And I know that's insane because Houston is the 2nd seed, but it's Golden State, man. It's Golden State. It's Steph Curry, and they added Jimmy Butler. We know what Jimmy does in the playoffs. Playoff Jim is a whole different monster. And he's already shown that he's in that mode. His leg was fucked up with Kawhi, and he still came to play. And did his thing. So, this is my risky pick here. I got Golden State going on to the next round. The next series is the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. I think this is going to be a great series to watch as well. Oh, honestly, guys, I didn't even write notes for this video. I don't know who wins this series. This depends on how good Rudy Gobert plays and how good Julius Randle plays. If Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle can be good consistently in this series, I don't think the Timberwolves have too much of a hard time getting the Lakers up out of there, right? And the Lakers have a lot. As great as they are, they were able to end up being the third seed, even with making that huge move for Luka in the middle of the season, which kind of turned their team around a little bit as far as roster wise. Defensively, they fucking suck, right? Like they have Austin Reeves and Dorian Finney-Smith are their two best defenders, and Austin Reeves is just a good, decent defender. He's not like a lockdown guy. And then Dorian Finney-Smith, as great as a defender he is, how many minutes is he actually getting? 15? 20? Maybe? He's probably not going to be playing that much anyway. Maybe down the stretch you have him in the game, but again, how much do you want Dorian Finney-Smith on the court in the playoffs? So that's a huge question. And then LeBron, LeBron is a good defender, but he's also 40 years old. So how much do we expect him to defend? Luka is a fucking cone. He can't check anybody. So it's a tough sell on that end. But it really just depends on how well Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert play. If Julius Randle is pushing the issue and getting 20-10 every night, and Gobert is doing his job, blocking shots and getting rebounds, I don't think they have too much trouble. But also, too, Luka does have a tendency to get the Timberwolves the fuck up out of there. The same with the Clippers. So, so I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Lakers. I'm gonna go with the Lakers because again they've been hot. They ended up with the third seed. Luka has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, so I don't think he wants to get knocked out in the first round, especially being the higher seed in the series. LeBron, I think LeBron having Luka there, somebody like with AD didn't want to take over the team, right? He never made that jump to make the team his. I don't think Luka has a problem doing that. I think Luka has already done that, made the team his, and LeBron is finally getting a chance to be the second guy or 1B for the first time basically in his whole career. So I think him being in a position where he could be the second guy will make him more comfortable. I think he'll be a little bit more rested as well, and I think that'll be the catalyst to push them past the Timberwolves in like 6 games, on top of having Austin Reeves. I say this because as bad as they are defensively, I am more certain about Luka Doncic, LeBron, and Austin Reeves than I am about Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert. Anthony Edwards, I think he's going to show up. He's going to do his thing because he's just, again, another Michael Jordan son. He's going to do his thing regardless. He's going to try to make it happen. But the problem is, what is Julius Randle going to do? What is Rudy Gobert going to do? And what is Naz Reid going to do in the supporting cast? I don't know. And with uncertainty, I got to go with the Lakers in that round. Or in that series. In the next series, I got Denver versus the Clippers. This one's gonna be good too. Denver just fired their head coach, Mike Malone. So there's a lot of uncertainty there, and I just talked about uncertainty. The Clippers are fucking rolling. The Clippers beat Golden State in a really good fucking game. I'm a Harden hater, just like I'm a Knicks hater. I'm a James Harden hater, but he looks locked the fuck in. He looked like he really trying to win a championship, and that's scary. Kawhi's back. Norman Powell has had a great season all season, and I don't think he's going to slow down. Ivica Zubac has become one of the best centers in the league in comparison to Jokic and Embiid. He's top 3, top 5 right now. Is he as good as Jokic and Embiid? Of course not. But being the 3rd, 4th best center in the league, hey, what can you say? I think Jokic is going to give him a hard time. They're going to have to switch somebody else on Jokic or play a zone or something like that because Jokic is going to give him a very rough time. But Zubac, if they can figure that out defensively, I think Zubac is going to be very important. If you can move somebody else onto Jokic and let Zubac just be himself and get rebounds and box out and play, regular center defense instead of getting drawn out by Jokic and getting in foul trouble, I think Zubac is gonna have a good series as well. I don't know if Jokic can do this all by himself, right? And I think the Clippers are just a little too top heavy. So I'm gonna say it's hard to go against Joke, but I'm gonna say something a little controversial. I think the Clippers go on to the next round. That might be a little crazy. I might be dead ass wrong, but I don't think Yoke can do this alone. I don't know what Jamal Murray is gonna do. Jamal Murray does have a tendency to turn it up in the playoffs, but this is a different circumstance, right? There seems to be a lot of turmoil in the locker room. They just fired Mike Malone, what, 2 weeks ago? A week ago? Yeah, no, a week ago. So they're still figuring shit out with this new dynamic. Is that going to hinder Jamal Murray? Michael Porter Jr., there was some issue with him. Like, somebody threw a party and it was a team party and they didn't invite him or something like that. And he laughed about it, but he was a little upset. I don't know. It's just a lot going on in Denver. And I think, again, with uncertainty, especially to this degree, I think the Clippers could sneak in and get it done. Especially with Harden playing well, Kawhi playing well, Norman Powell, Zubac, the supporting cast playing well. I think the Clippers could get it done. It might be 6 or 7 games, but I think they could do it. I might be wrong. That's the one. That's the one where I think I might I might end up eating my words on that one, but we'll see. Who knows? But I got the Clippers going on to the next round. That would leave for the next round. It would be OKC versus the Clippers, and then it would be the Lakers versus Golden State. So let me go to OKC and the Clippers first. OKC versus the Clippers. I think OKC wins the series in like 5 to 6 games. Again, Harden has been playing amazing. Kawhi is healthy. If he can stay healthy, Norman Powell, Zubac, those guys have been going crazy. I think they won like 8 or 9 straight games since the end of the regular season into the play-in and stuff like that. So, no disrespect to the Clippers, but OKC has been basically the best team in the league all season with injuries. Like Chet and Hartenstein have been hurt on and off all year, and they still have managed to be the best team in the league record-wise and just in general. So I just don't see them losing the series against the Clippers. Again, SGA, an MVP candidate. You got Lou Dort, you got Chet, you got Hartenstein, you got Caruso, and just that J-Dub, that whole supporting cast. OKC gets it done. They're going to the conference finals. It's not going to be too much trouble, I don't think. Now, if Harden and Kawhi and the Clippers are the real deal and they're really trying to get it done, maybe they shock the world, but 9 times out of 10, OKC wins the series in 5 or 6 games. Now, this next series. I should have wrote notes on this. I'm just kind of freestyling. The Lakers versus Golden State. LeBron James versus Golden State again. LeBron James versus Steph Curry again. In a very different scenario. You got Steph and Jimmy Michael Jordan Butler versus Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. Ooh, I don't know. This is tough. This is super tough. Ooh, damn. Because Golden State do got Draymond and Loon and stuff like that and Pods, and they not bad. They really not bad. They have. That's why I had them beating Houston, and then just the plus 10 attributes with Jimmy being in the playoffs is. I'm gonna go with the Lakers. I'm gonna go with the Lakers because Luke, like I said, Luka does have a chip on his shoulder after the whole Dallas situation, and I think he's really gonna try to prove Nico Harrison wrong. Um, do I necessarily think they win the championship? It's just spoiler alert, not exactly, no. But getting knocked out in the second round by a seventh seed, even if it is Golden State, isn't the greatest look, especially when you have LeBron James with you and then a solid third guy in Austin Reeves. So I think Luka turns it up and he tries his best to get it done. Again, LeBron being able to be the second guy for the first time, I think he's able to be free a little bit, and I think Austin Reeves he's just consistent. Long as he's consistent, I think they end up getting Golden State out of there. But it'll be 6 games, maybe even 7, because I don't think Jimmy Butler is just gonna let that happen. I don't think Steph is just gonna let that happen. It's gonna be a great series. It's gonna be super fun to watch, and I can't wait till we get to that point. If I'm right, I could be wrong. All my picks could be fucking wrong, which would be hilarious. If all my picks are just wrong, that'd be hilarious. But I got the Lakers going to the conference finals against OKC. And not too much to say about the conference final. I think OKC wins the conference final. Just, again, they've been the best team in the league all season. The Lakers, their defensive issues, I think at that point are probably going to start creeping up on them because in OKC, you're going to have to check everybody. And the Lakers do not have the personnel to do that. Like, who's going to check SGA? Austin Reeves? No, that's not going to work. Who's going to check Chet Holmgren? Who's going to check J-Dub? I just don't. It's just going to be a tough matchup all the way through. On both sides, but OKC is a defensive-minded team, whereas the Lakers aren't. So I think defense wins out here. I think OKC ends up winning in about 5 or 6 games. And they end up going to the finals against the Boston Celtics. Now, this is the finale, guys. I know I've been talking for a long time. This is the finale here. The Boston Celtics versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. I want, in this situation, in this scenario, I would like for OKC to win. Right? I think that would be awesome. Because I'm turning into a Boston Celtics hater as well. But Boston is super talented. And they are the defending champions. And this is OKC's first time in the finals with this ensemble of guys. Chet is still super young. This is his second season. Even SGA, as good as he is, he's still super young. I'm going to go with my heart here and what I want. I think OKC does it. Clip this. I think OKC does it. I think OKC ends up beating Boston and winning it all. It's definitely going to go to 7 games. It's not going to be a cakewalk or anything like that. But I think OKC gets it done. I think SGA, they're going to have Drew Holiday on them, though. Jesus, fuck. It's going to be tough. And I wouldn't be surprised if Boston wins it. I just got OKC getting it done in 7 games against the defending champions, the Boston Celtics. I believe in SGA. I love Chet Holmgren, and they added Hartenstein and Caruso. Really, they're a very similar team on paper, if you're being honest. Like, you got your star guys, you got your 3-and-D guys, you got your role players. Like, they're very similar. I think, honestly, this comes down to who can be healthy. Chet has been out all year. Well, not all year, but he's been out most of the year. Hartenstein's been out somewhat. If all those guys can be healthy, and same thing with Boston. If Porzingis and Tatum and Brown and all those guys can stay healthy, that's what I think it'll come down to, who can stay the healthiest at this point in the finals. Now, if both teams won't be 100%, but if both teams are generally healthy, that's where it gets shaky on who actually is going to win. I'm going with OKC because that's who I would like to win. Also, the Nets aren't anywhere in this at all. We're still in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, and we probably won't even get Cooper Flag, unfortunately. But my buddy is a huge OKC fan, and we both don't fuck with Boston like that. So I gotta go with OKC. There's more of a personal choice than anything because they're just so evenly matched. That's what it came down to for me. But yep, I got OKC winning the championship. That might be a little crazy because Boston is defending champs, but that's what I'm going with. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of my picks. I know I was talking for a while, but I'm going to try to keep it entertaining for you guys in the edits. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Where you think I was wrong. Do you think some teams will upset? Do you think some series will go differently? Do you think I'm completely wrong? Do you think like Orlando's going to win it or something like that? You might be fucking dumb if you think that. But let me know in the comments. Make sure you like. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ding that notification bell so you know every time I drop a video. And most of all, YouTube. I love you guys. Peace out.
They playing me now. I'm trying to get this little shit out the ground. I need some money to get me around, but money don't grow on no trees. Yeah, they wait on me now. Hey, if I had $1 for all of my sounds, then I need a money machine. Yeah, money don't grow on no trees. Yeah, I need a money machine.